Good morning, everyone. So it is the first day back for all of you, the first day back of autumn 2. So we're taking that run up to Christmas. It's an exciting half term. We've got lots and lots of things planned for you. Not to mention a remembrance service that each and every class is going to have. We've got our fingers crossed that Father Arnold is going to come in and lead a service in every or with every class outdoors. We've got some children in need activities planned because it's really important for us this year to not forget those people who are less fortunate than ourselves, for whom we would normally and always be raising money. So I've heard already that we've got a dance-a-thon taking place. In Mr. Holmes's class, apparently you can throw a sponge at him for 50p. So that's going to take place on the 13th of November, which is a week on Friday, and our services will be next week. Some of you have been practicing for Times Tables Rock Stars, which is really exciting and brilliant and such a fantastic skill for you to master. If you've let that slip a little bit, how about you get on it and have another go and increase your practice and your time on there. And then, of course, leading up to Christmas, then we're going to have lots of lovely, Christmassy and exciting activities. Now we know because of the germs, because of the virus, things are always a bit different in school, or certainly they have been recently. So what we plan for Christmas is going to be slightly different to what we would normally have done. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do the kind of whole school or big events that we had before. But we do think we can probably do something that we record and let your parents watch. So if you were thinking that maybe there would have been a Christmas play that you would be part of this year, I think that will still happen in one form or another, but it may be that it's not possible for your parents to come and watch you in school, but they'll definitely be able to watch something from home because we can send them videos. In the same way that I'm sending you a video now. I'm not in your classroom with you, we're not in the hall, but there are still ways around this situation because we are determined. We are determined not to let this germ, this virus, dampen our spirits or make us sad or stop us from doing some of the things that we know are really important in our school. And it's this word today that I want you to think about. I'm going to talk to you about the word determination, because as with last half term, we are going to need plenty of determination this half term. Just think for a second, put your thinking cap on, put it on, or switch on the light bulb in your mind. What could determination mean? Have a think. Okay, so I'll put the word determination or determined into a sentence, and that might be able to help you a little bit. So I was absolutely determined to finish the 5k run that I started on Tuesday morning, even though I felt really tired. I was determined that I was going to make a healthy lunch every day that didn't involve any plastics that weren't reusable. So I was determined about that. I was determined that I was going to take Sebby for a walk every morning and every night, and at least one of those walks should last more than half an hour, because it's important that he has a leg stretch after I've been at work during the day. So can you tell that when I'm talking about me being determined in some fairly basic things really, it's all about setting a goal. Miss Clark talked to us about setting a goal last half term, setting a target for yourself, thinking about an area that you want to improve. So that could be around your learning, it could be about your fitness, it could be about your health, it could actually be about your character and your values. Maybe you're going to be determined to be kinder. Now I think during this half term we all need to be determined not to let ourselves down. We might feel a bit frustrated that we can't mix with other bubbles. We might feel upset that the classroom feels a bit cold at times, even though we understand why that has to happen. We might feel a little bit confused about why suddenly some of the staff are wearing visors and masks in school. We might feel upset that somebody in our class is absent for a couple of days. But we have to find a sense of determination. I find that sense of determination in my head and also in my heart. I set a goal for myself, and my goal for this half term is to be determined not to let this situation stop us from doing the things that matter. And I'd like you to be determined to do the same thing. So I've got 2 examples of people who I know are really determined and have throughout their lives been very determined. I think you're going to be able to think of other examples too. My first example is to do with the namesake of Miss Thurkle and Mrs Flexney's class. So their class is called Walt Disney. Now when you think about Walt Disney, what do you think about? I'm going to give you just the count of 5 to think about when you think of Walt Disney or Disney films, what comes into your mind? I think that what comes into your mind is probably stories, adventures, cartoons, fun, morals, creativity, imagination. Because Walt Disney was an absolutely fantastic, talented animator who helped to create lots of very, very well-known films that I enjoyed as a child and that I'm sure you enjoy as a child. But I wonder whether you know that before Walt Disney became a film producer, he actually used to write stories and articles for newspapers. He was a journalist. That's this posh name that we give to people who write for newspapers. And when he was a journalist, he actually got fired. In England, or in this country, we talk about getting the sack. And what that means is he lost his job. And you might be surprised at the reason that he lost his job. He lost his job because he was told by the editor that he wasn't imaginative enough or creative enough. Can you hear Sebby barking? Even he is astounded at that. So Walt Disney, one of the most creative and imaginative people, definitely had to show a lot of determination to be able to overcome that bad feeling that he had in his head when somebody decided that he wasn't good enough. I wonder if you've ever had a moment where you haven't felt good enough and you've had to show resilience or, again, determination to get to your goal. I bet you have. Now, the second example that you might be surprised about, I certainly was, is also to do with a namesake in our school. The namesake of Mrs March and Mrs Thompson's class, so J.K. Rowling. Some people say J.K. Rowling, I'm never quite sure which one it is. Now she is the only, or certainly the first, billionaire author. So we've got a journalist and now an author. And we know that an author is somebody who writes books. Might be fiction, non-fiction, stories, lots and lots of stories. And of course, J.K. Rowling is very famous for the Harry Potter series. But did you know that J.K. Rowling was refused her book to be published? I can't get my words out. Was refused a publication deal many times. She kept sending what's called the manuscript, the actual story, to lots of publishers. They are the people that print the book and sell the book. And they kept saying, no, this is a load of rubbish. Nobody's going to be interested in hearing about a young wizard and all of his shenanigans. So she sent it to the next publisher and they said, no, this is a load of rubbish. And the next publisher, this is a load of rubbish. So J.K. Rowling had to be really, really determined. Now imagine if she had given up at the first hurdle, at the first problem, at the first sign that somebody said no. Imagine how different our world would be, our entertainment world would be, if Walt Disney and J.K. Rowling had not shown determination. Now, if they can overcome the kind of barriers that must have made them feel inadequate or down or fed up, then surely we can. Surely we can beat some of the things that are making us feel a little bit down or confused or upset at the moment. They had a goal. Their goal was to entertain. J.K. Rowling wanted to entertain, Walt Disney wanted to entertain. And they were not going to let anybody or anything get in the way of the goal that they set. Let's be determined to be that kind of role model ourselves. Let's be determined to enjoy this half term, to make the very best of it, to live by our values, particularly in respect of resilience when things get difficult and if they get difficult. Now let's finish with Huffart's highlights, because as always you astound me, you please me, you amaze me with your own creativity and particularly your kindness. And over the holiday I had an email from Freya Sykes' mum with a photograph of Freya. She'd been given an award for cheering people up by putting illustrations in her window. I think they were on a Halloween theme, but they were amusing and entertaining and creative. So that was a lovely random act of kindness, and I want to say well done to Freya. We've had people in the past who've gone litter picking and all sorts of things. This is most definitely a Huffart highlight, and I'm going to end every assembly with a Huffart highlight from now on. Now have a wonderful day, be determined to enjoy it, be determined to enjoy this half term, and I will see you around school soon. Take care.